This it for Specialized? Oh, hold your horses. I don't think so. Well, at least not in the news cycles and also other media outlet forums. Not quite, but there's a few rumors rolling through. Specialized and Reed have been pretty quiet in the last 6 months or so, especially after John Burke dropped the bomb on Trek is resizing and cutting 40% of their SKUs. Yeah, that's a big deduction of what's going on in the Trek world, where, guess what, Specialized has been catching up and trying to mimic the same thing. Oh, what am I saying? Well, Specialized has gone through some serious hardships after the big COVID, basically heartburn, let down, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, we call it like a bike recession in itself. Yeah, I did the big word. Just get used to it. We are there, and we're digging out of it. Well, Specialized was affected so much that they went to direct-to-consumer, which they had one of their peeps that they got from Canyon, which is direct-to-consumer, became recently the head honcho of CEO, I believe, of the particular Specialized brand. So that's the latest story of the step up. Kind of seeing that, happening. There's going to be some shifts from some leadership there, but that's really it for official news. Well, I want to bring in an expert, John Bradley. He's been in the industry for over 50 years, worked at Trek as a rep as well as a product developer, brought in Gary Fisher and the various other situations within the Trek realm. So he has some good insights. I wanted to share that with you with the conversation I had with him. Well, that's one topic. The other topic is, rumor is big Walmart might be taking up Specialized. There's a lot of speculation to the video, what I saw about this, kind of reaching for other points, but I heard another video where there's some feelers. I'm not going to put it out there in the sense that if you say something's going to happen, but hey, we need to talk about it anyway. And what would that look like in the realm that we're living in right now? And the last thing I want to talk about is, there's been some dealer shifting in the not great way for Specialized. Independent bike dealers cutting ties with Specialized. Well, that has to hurt, and I'd like to get some insights of that as well. Again, this is an opinion piece based on experiences of myself being in bike shops with all these years, working at Trek shops, in addition to John Bradley working in the industry as a whole. Without further ado, check it out.
Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with the guy. Hi, I'm Justin the Guy. Obviously I have a garage shop. Take scary out of used, one bike at a time. If you want to be kept up to date on latest projects and topics, please like and subscribe.
Welcome back to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with the guy and hanging out with John Bradley, the man, the myth, the legend. Yes, he's been around, good 50 plus years, but today I want to talk about the big elephant in the room in the industry lately has been kind of kicked around. I want to talk about some exploring options that Specialized may be or may not be looking into, and give it a little more of a historical weighted industry perspective. John's been working with Trek, Schwinn over the years with various others on not just as a rep level, but also as a developer or product developer and that kind of thing. So he's really seen a lot of the insights instead of me just jibber jabber and just kind of make up stuff-ish. Give it a little more weight and that kind of thing. There was a story that came out a couple weeks ago. A gentleman, I'll put the link below, and he may have some weight to it. I'm not here to bash on anybody, but he did have an intriguing insight, or maybe a kind of a guess, really, of maybe Walmart might be buying Specialized. Well, it kind of strikes me kind of funny because I know a little bit about Specialized. John knows a little bit more, but first thing that came to mind was, well, Specialized got in a little trouble. They're all in a little trouble right now, but back in the day, and I think it was the early 2000s, is that correct? They were what's that?
Around there, yeah.
Around there, yeah. And they hit some troublesome times financially, and Merida, that was building Specialized, did a big purchase, or basically stock purchase of
Specialized to like 98 or not 48 to 49%, just below the 50%. And you were telling me since Merida purchased them, they're kind of like Giant. The other big name in the Taiwan realm is Giant, which produces a lot of Treks and various other brands too. But they also have their own house brand with Giant. But you were telling that Merida has their own house brand also that's not being in the
Yeah,
United States?
Merida is a bike. Those of you who watch professional racing, you'll see people racing successfully at the highest levels, Merida road racing bicycles, but they have a complete line of bikes like Trek, like Specialized, like Giant, under their own brand. And I'm not sure if they're anywhere in North America. I'm not sure if they're in Canada, but they're definitely not here in the States.
Okay.
But you can go find quite a few Merida dealers in Europe. And they've been there for years. So like you were saying, the two big manufacturers and also brands in Taiwan and a lot into the Asian markets are Giant and Merida.
Okay.
They're both on that island. It's a small place. But yeah, they're very well run, very good companies, both of them.
So would you think, I mean, how much trouble, I mean, the industry is at a huge trouble. I know Giant, there's a memo that leaked that they were behind their bills last summer. So they were behind paying the raw materials and so forth. And that kind of has a trickle effect from possibly Trek or some of their other vendors not able to pay their bills. So everybody owes everybody right now. Is Merida probably in a situation where they may be looking to sell their stock to another company to get out underneath the Specialized brand?
I wouldn't want to speculate directly about Merida. I mean, any business, like when you get in, when times are tough, you're going, what do we need to do?
Yeah.
And you're seeing all sorts of companies cut prices, dump inventory, all that type of thing. I've heard no factual thing. We're all talking speculatively here.
Including this, the video that I saw about the Walmart family.
The reality of it is, for a lot of businesses, if somebody wanders into the door and says, hey, Justin, I've got more money than you've ever seen, you're going to think about it at a minimum.
Yeah.
If that's happening, it could. That's happened a number of times in the bike business. We've just seen with Kona. In fact, I just saw this morning in Bicycle Retailer where the original founders of Kona have bought the company back, and they're trying to get out of the omni-channel.
Oh, really? I didn't see that one.
Yeah, I just saw it like an hour ago.
Okay, I was working on a bike, so that's bike mechanics are working, not reading that much.
But so I mean, everybody's trying to survive, and they're looking, and if some people think this is a good thing for their business and it's not going to hurt them, they might, but it's one of those things, anything's possible, but I've not heard other than somebody kind of thinking, well, it could happen. And the Walton people, Walmart has been doing a lot of really good things for the bicycle business. They've built a beautiful set of trails outside of Bentonville, which is the headquarters for Walmart. There's some great bike shops there, which I think they have partial ownership in. They're doing their thing. I mean, which is kind of interesting given the kind of bikes you see at the typical Walmart.
Yeah. Well, they dabbled with Moose Jaw. They had them for a little while, and they just sold them to Dick's Sporting Goods, which had a couple other stores related. I forget what they're called, but there were some other stores related to the Moose Jaw acquisition. So that's where they're putting in the GT bikes, not into Dick's Sporting Goods specifically, but into those offshoot brands. But with Specialized, if they're going to broker a deal, I mean, not to say if they are, but if something like this is going to be put in the works, how long does it usually take for big acquisition contracts of that kind of thing to work out?
There would be, it's to paraphrase our president, it'd be a big effing deal. But the actual trigger can happen quickly. It just is, there's so much to it to buying a company like that. I would think it would take a while for it to actually go through complete implementation unless there's been stuff going on behind the scenes. Again, this is all speculation.
Oh yeah.
We've heard no facts, that this is actually happening. When you've got people like the Walton family, I mean, they what was it? The Bronco sale was $5 billion.
And they didn't buy all of it. It was just a portion.
No, I mean, and then you got a bunch of the poor people like Lewis Hamilton, the F1 driver and stuff.
Yeah, right.
Wow. Anything's possible. I mean, and the same thing could be said for a number of different brands. Because if somebody's got a ton of cash that they're sitting on, and a bike company, whether Specialized, or anybody, they'll probably listen to somebody and say, does this make sense or not?
Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's all speculation.
And well, I was just thinking with Merida as a backer of Specialized, the likelihood of that is pretty slim. But not out of the realm that even the manufacturers are having issues too right now and having those problems, that kind of thing. So
yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you see the industry grow and contract. I mean, I was thinking initially, like a lot of people probably don't realize how big the United States bicycle market was in the latter part of the 19th century, early part of the 20th century. Like more bicycles used to be built in Chicago than any place in the world. There were all these bike factories there.
Yeah.
My birthday's coming up, and one of my brothers was nice enough to give me this bicycle T-shirt. He's big into baseball, and it's Demarest is a brand that I had never heard of out of Pennsylvania. They not only had that, they had their own factory team. So they made bicycles, but their first business was sewing machines. And then they had a minor league baseball team. So it's Demarest Bicycle Boys or something like that. It was pretty interesting deal. But there's all these little companies that it grows and contracts. I don't know that nobody is really producing at any significant level in the United States anymore.
Yeah.
There's some things like Detroit Bicycles, doing some things. So I'm kind of all over the place on this, but literally anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
And
what do you think about the retail level right now? There's a shop that I worked with through Retail Toolkit, one of the software programs back in the day, and they were very strong Specialized dealer. They had 5 locations in the Salt Lake area. Obviously, during COVID, they brought on, like everybody brought on every brand they could. But knowing that their main line was Specialized, and they just recently, in the last few months, got rid of Specialized and went all in with Trek, which was a big move. Looking at their demographics, they even have Trek stores and Shields within stone throws from the location. So for me to have seeing this, it would have to put me like, they must have had some serious issues, either with able to get product or pricing, or the company's not supporting them, or it had to been like maybe everything all at once for a chain of 5 locations to just drop it and do the monumental lift of bringing in a whole new brand and learning all their proprietary tech, like Trek and Specialized. They have their own stuff, so you have to go through all their teach up and everything. And then you have to deal with all the customers coming in the door. They're like, here's my Specialized bike. You still work on these? It's like, I mean, you've probably seen this in other industries, like under micro levels. I mean, what's your insights on a bike shop and what they had to deal with of combating all of this, and how monumental would it have to be to really switch a brand? It's not like you flip the switch and you call it a new brand.
It happens. In fact, Lee's went through that a number of times. Specialized, Trek Specialized. Sometimes both. The main thing for any business is you want good business partners, and not necessarily an investor in your business, but somebody you can do business with, that you align with, that makes sense for you. You feel good about it. Like, I like the company. I like the people I'm dealing with. They seem to be going along with my view of how my business should be run. And I would guess that in the case of what you're talking about, is it no longer lined up. And also, You know, the way these stores and the industry is going, everybody's always looking for an opportunity. So, you know, if you're saying, man, I am unhappy with my current supplier, I'm going to start looking around, then they may have gotten some really nice things from Trek, or, you know, in this case. I don't know, but it happens. I mean, you see it happen with car dealerships. You see it happen with any kind of business. Again, it just goes down to plain business. Can I do business with these people from, you know, I like them, they're they're a profitable brand for me to carry.
Yeah.
Changing brands is a challenge, but at the same time, it also refreshes, because all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, now I got to learn something new, and that can be a good thing.
It could be a positive move. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in the market too. But I mean, yeah, it's just, it kind of blows my mind a little bit that, because being in Lee's Cyclery, where we carry Trek and Specialized at the same time, those brands always compete, and there's not very many shops that could carry both brands. They have to do a super amount of volume, like Wheat Ridge and also Bike Mart in Texas. I mean, saw their numbers. It was like completely, that blew my brain. Like, wow. But to be able to leverage those companies and just tell them, like, no, this is how it is. Because most of those companies will basically put dealer agreements on their dealers, like, you got to do X amount of numbers in all these different categories. And when you're big enough, you're like, yeah, we can do that. But if you do a big enough volume, then you can really go back and go, no, we want this. We want that. And I don't know if that shop, I mean, there are 5 locations. They do a fair amount of volume. But the demographics of it, it's Salt Lake area, so it's not super huge. Not like the Front Range of Colorado, that perspective.
But it's a great market.
It is a great market.
It's really a good place to, sorry, waving off camera there.
Yeah.
But it's really, you know, there's a lot of really good stores there. There's a great tradition. I mean, there's everything. You know, you can get in just regular mom and pop stores to full blown. I think Contender used to be a shop over there. Hopefully they're still there, but, you know, great high end pro shop.
Yeah. Most people think of Salt Lake, Utah, they're thinking Winter Olympics, which is probably their biggest claim, because they don't have huge sports teams except for, they still have the Jazz.
Yeah. In fact, they now have the former Phoenix Coyotes are moving up from Phoenix to play hockey there. But it's you know, it's a great place to ride a bike. I mean, I've had some absolutely beautiful rides. I mean, you know, a lot of it rivals anything we have here in good old colorful Colorado.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So it's, you know, and the story you're talking about has been in business. I mean, they are an institution within that community anyway.
Yeah, you were mentioning that when you were a Trek rep.
Yeah, we sold
Trek to them. And it was mainly just road bikes, right?
Road bikes, a lot of parts, and they bought, you know, some mountain bikes. We wanted to sell more, but it was a challenge.
Were they carrying Specialized at that time too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was a very competitive market.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was kind of funny because you're always, and in fact, I was, you know, really good friends with the Specialized rep. We had this kind of friendly competition because he used to be my Specialized rep when I was managing the Denver Spoke.
Oh, that's right.
But really nice guy, Scott Carpenter. You know, we did a lot of really good business with those people, and they're you know, it's a great shop. I mean, it literally is like one of the great bike shops probably of the country. You know, unless you've been to that market, you don't understand.
So looping back into Specialized's involvement, you know, I mean, for any bike brand at this particular juncture of our market, that they have too much inventory or not the right mix, or everybody's trying to sell stuff. And since they've done the big couple moves of direct to consumer, which I think they just got it, they named a new CEO, which used to work for Canyon. And what interesting to me is when they brought him on from Canyon's direct to consumer, Specialized, guess what? Like 6 months, a year later, direct to consumer sales. And now he's the top dog at CEO that they just named. Well, losing, I know 5 dealers out of hundreds is not a huge thing sometimes, but in our state of the state, that's got to be kind of
little painful to.
Oh yeah, I mean it's hard. I mean, as you do, I think I love a good bike shop, but um, there's this business side of things. That they've got to keep the doors open. Everybody's looking at where the business is going now. Because a lot of people buy stuff.
Yeah.
I can't believe how many times I live on this short little cul-de-sac in Fort Collins, and there's Amazon trucks there like all the time.
Oh yeah, 3 of them a day.
Right.
It's insane.
And you're sitting there as a supplier, and you're cranking a bunch of bikes, and you're looking at, well, I've got retail store, or I can go direct. And there's a lot of issues both ways in how you do it. Sometimes your retailer can be kind of cranky and hard to work with. So they can be a great business partner. It's like anything has these personalities, but everybody's trying to figure out where is this going. And this is not just the little bitty bicycle business.
No.
To give you an idea how small we are, I at one point, Panasonic used to be, you've all heard of Panasonic, but they actually build great bicycles. And they were in the U.S. market for years, built a lot of really good bikes. Used to build Schwinn's as well. But they told me I interviewed for the sales rep position in the Rockies, and during the interview they told me that they made an electronic pencil sharpener. This is giving you an idea how old I am, but anyway, their electronic pencil sharpener business at that point in time in the early 80s did more volume than the entire U.S. bicycle market.
Oh wow!
So it kind of gives you an idea.
Yeah. I mean, it's big, but it's not big compared. But yeah, so
we're all looking for that. If you're in business, as you are, you're trying to make money.
Yeah.
And you're trying to do it in a way that aligns with what you want out of life and
your business and your culture and the shop, that kind of thing. So.
Yeah. I mean, the reality of it is probably if the Waltons are in the market for a bike company, they probably could have their pick of a lot of companies. When you stop and think about it, picking on Specialized in particular, I mean, their behavior over the years, they've been kind of flirting with a mass market thing on and off. We were talking about that off camera earlier, which has not endeared themselves to a lot of traditional brick and mortar bicycle dealers.
Yeah.
But in the end, business is business too. It's just you've got to survive.
Yeah.
I wish I had more salacious.
No, well, I just want to, when I saw that video of, Specialized possibly looking to sell to Walmart, and I was like, well, what about Merida? And you gave wonderful insights about the Merida portion of it. And then I had the news of that particular store or chain switching over. Is it going to be a trend? Who knows? Every market's different. I've heard the opposite of there's a store in Castle Rock that carried both Trek and Specialized, and now they're just carrying Specialized. So maybe it fits them better. So we're still in a very volatile state right now. And I mean, for me, I don't want to make more news, but in a sense, want to at least give a little bit more insights of just speculation, a little more weight to it. So. Any final words you may have on the Specialized, or or soon we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's there. We're speculating, so there is no evidence.
True.
Could it happen? Sure.
Yep.
Again, if two sides come together and they do a deal, they do a deal.
They do a deal.
But there is no actual evidence. And talking about what would happen, if I owned a Specialized bike and all of a sudden the Waltons bought it. Well, the Waltons may just love the bicycle business, and they might want to keep retail stores open.
Sure.
And even if they didn't, I mean, there's a lot of things that I'm not a huge fan of Walmart and all that, but they're honorable people. I would imagine they would stand behind any warranty issue or whatever.
Yep.
So. It may not be what you'd like. You thought you had this more exclusive thing, and now there's one available, at the Walmart a mile away from here, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with me in the garage, and until next time, if it's nice in your neck of the woods, please go for a ride.
Yeah.
Every hour on the bike is an extra day of life, right?
That's right. Great day for a bike ride.
Yeah, he's really old, and he looks really good. Yeah, I would say there's a lot of interesting perspectives here. Working in shops I've had specialized, knowing how the reps work, knowing how the company behaves, how they have behaved over the decades into now. There's a lot of interesting things. Yes, a lot of it is just kind of, we're going to have to wait and see what happens. The likelihood is quite, quite of a reach, but you never know. It could happen in the sense that, yeah, they might be in a situation where the stocks might be sold from Rita to Walmart or any other particular brand out there that wants to take up that company's burden in a sense. But I don't know. It seems to be kind of a interesting little twist, but well, like we said before, time will tell, and that's where we're going to be at. But in any case, the cycling of the industry is constantly changing. Case in point with Kona being bought back by the original owners, Trek dropping the bomb about, oh, we got to shrink down our sales. There's probably going to be something that comes along the line that relates to other big manufacturers because they are hurting right now to the point where they start to have to do some desperate shifts from, resizing the SKU counts. They're working their problem solving their issues with the new current demands, which the lack of. What are they going to do with those overstock prices? We got Colorado cyclists going out, so you've got a lot of different things going on at the same time. It's just going to get a little more weird before it gets normal again, and whatever the new norm is, we're going to have to figure that out one day at a time. But in any case, if it's nice in your neck of woods, please go for a ride. Every hour on the bike is another day on great life. So enjoy the ride, and until next time, thanks for hanging out with me in the garage. Have a wonderful day.